Champions refuse to sit around waiting for ideal circumstances, and they don't squander their strength wishing reality was different. They refuse to spend their existence hoping for lucky breaks. Instead, they pursue their desires. They forge their own possibilities and craft their own fate, recognizing that achievement isn't handed to you, it must be seized. The distinction between those who triumph and those who fail isn't ability, fortune, or brilliance, it's their mental framework. Champions have a different thought process. They view barriers as fleeting and consider defeats as educational experiences. They recognize that each failure is a disguised chance to advance, training themselves to concentrate on answers rather than obstacles. They refuse to let terror guide their choices or permit uncertainty to dominate their behavior. They don't waste precious time lamenting what lies beyond their influence. They accept accountability, claim ownership of their situations, and consequently generate the outcomes they desire. The majority of individuals restrict themselves through their thinking. They convince themselves of reasons they can't achieve greatness. They persuade themselves that achievement belongs to others, letting previous defeats determine their tomorrow. They permit terror to restrain them, but champions take the opposite approach. They condition their minds to accept that everything is achievable, refusing to acknowledge boundaries. They question their own justifications, push beyond discomfort, and discipline their thinking patterns. This discipline is what sets them apart from all others. Mental framework is paramount. It's not merely about maintaining optimism or making hollow declarations. It's about restructuring your worldview. It's about cultivating the psychological resilience to persist when others surrender. It's about constructing internal fortitude to advance when challenges arise, conditioning yourself to take steps regardless of your emotional state. Champions don't pause for motivation or depend on sudden inspiration. They've conditioned themselves to act even during reluctant moments, and this is their key to victory. Most individuals let their feelings govern them, acting based on their current mood. If they feel like working, they work. If they don't feel like it, they halt. This explains their struggles and why they remain trapped, because outcomes are controlled by fleeting emotions. However, champions have trained themselves to appear regardless of circumstances, developing the capacity to operate powerfully, even when unmotivated. They don't allow their emotional state to determine their achievement. They determine their achievement regardless of their emotional state. There's a reason champions always appear in command. It's not because they never experience terror or self-doubt, nor because everything always goes smoothly. It's because they've cultivated the ability to advance anyway. They feel terror yet act, experience doubt yet push forward, face obstacles yet continue. They don't permit external situations to control their internal condition. They've conditioned themselves to function powerfully regardless of surrounding circumstances. This is why mental framework forms the foundation of achievement. You could provide someone unlimited resources, but with a weak mind, they'll find ways to undermine themselves. You could give someone complete talent, every opportunity, and total support, but without believing they deserve achievement, they'll destroy it. Champions grasp this. They know that before anything else, they must triumph mentally. They must cultivate the psychological discipline to think, act, and become the type of person who naturally draws achievement. This isn't about pretending or displaying false confidence. It's not about telling yourself something you don't believe. This is about reprogramming your brain, shifting how you interpret the world, building a mentality so powerful that nothing can disturb it. Champions don't just think optimistically, they think powerfully. They don't merely avoid negativity, they replace it with strength. I can't. They ask, how can I? Instead of saying this is difficult, they state, I will solve this. Instead of saying I don't feel like it, they declare, I do what must be done. This shift in thinking changes everything, because when you train yourself to think like a champion, your actions transform. When your actions transform, your results change. When your results change, your life evolves. Most people never grasp this connection. They believe achievement will alter their feelings, thinking victory will change their thoughts. But it works in reverse. Victory begins in the mind, results follow later, confidence follows later, achievement follows later. But the thinking must change first. So the question remains, are you thinking like a champion? Or are you still imprisoned by limiting beliefs? Are you still clinging to excuses, still processing life through a filter of fear and uncertainty? Because if you are, you'll remain trapped, continue struggling, and keep wondering why nothing ever changes. But if you commit to rewiring your mind and developing a champion's mentality, your entire existence will transform. Your actions will shift, your results will change, and achievement will become unavoidable. Champions don't bargain with themselves. They don't wake up questioning whether they should work today or debate whether they should follow through. They don't waste mental energy questioning their choices. They've trained themselves to act without delay. They've eliminated doubt from the process, made achievement non-negotiable, and because of this, they move with certainty and power. They don't waste time thinking about if, they focus on how. Most people struggle because they're always in negotiation mode. They wake up and begin debating with themselves, should I rise early? Should I exercise? Should I work on my objectives? This internal debate creates hesitation, and hesitation destroys momentum. Every time you question yourself, you give your mind an opportunity to choose comfort over advancement. The more you do this, the weaker your mentality becomes. You train yourself to hesitate and condition yourself to remain stuck. Champions don't give themselves this option. They don't wake up wondering if they should work. They simply work. They don't question whether they should push forward. They just advance. They don't negotiate with themselves because they've already decided, and that decision was made long before the moment of action. They don't wait until they feel prepared or inspired. They operate from a place of certainty, and that certainty creates results. This is why champions always seem in control. It's not because they never feel doubt or fear, nor because they never face setbacks. It's because they've developed the mental toughness to continue regardless. They don't waste energy questioning or debating with themselves or trying to convince themselves to take action. They've removed hesitation from the equation, and that's the key. If you want to separate yourself from the crowd, you must stop negotiating with yourself. You must stop waking up daily questioning your decisions and stop giving your mind the option to choose comfort over progress. Because every time you hesitate, you weaken your mentality, train yourself to stay stuck, and condition yourself to avoid discomfort. Champions don't avoid discomfort, they embrace it. They understand that growth only occurs when you step outside your safe zone. Most people flee from discomfort, avoiding things that make them uneasy, staying within their secure boundaries. Because of this, they never grow, expand, or reach their potential. But champions seek discomfort, understanding that every time they push through something difficult, they become stronger. Every time they do something frightening, they build confidence. Every time they face resistance and keep moving, they condition their mind to operate at a higher level. This is why champions do hard things. They don't wait for life to be easy or complain about difficulties. They don't waste energy wishing for more time, resources, or an easier path. They take what they have and build with it. They don't wait for motivation. They create it. They don't rely on inspiration. They discipline themselves to act. Because of this, they grow faster than everyone else and develop an unstoppable mentality. This is where most people go wrong. They think achievement is about talent, luck, or having the right background and opportunities. But that's not true. Achievement is about mentality, who you become when things get hard, how you think when facing challenges, whether you rise to the occasion or give in to excuses. Champions don't make excuses, blame circumstances, or allow external factors to determine their future. They take control, move forward, and create achievement regardless. So the question is, are you training your mind to win, or are you still trapped in hesitation? Are you still waking up daily debating with yourself, still giving yourself the option to quit? Because if you are, you'll struggle, stay stuck, and keep wondering why nothing changes. But if you commit to removing hesitation, acting with certainty, and training yourself to move forward regardless, your entire life will shift. Your results will change, your mentality will become unbreakable, and achievement will become inevitable. Champions don't let their circumstances define them. They don't look at where they started and allow that to stop them. They don't let past failures dictate their future or let anyone's opinion become their reality. They take control of their narrative, decide who they are and what they'll become. Because they've trained themselves to think this way, they create results that reflect it. Most people live as if their past is their future. They believe that because they struggled yesterday, they'll struggle tomorrow. They believe that because they failed before, they'll fail again. They allow their history to become their identity, and that's why they stay stuck, why they never break through and keep repeating the same patterns. They've never decided to rewrite their story. Champions don't think like that. They understand that the past is just information, not destiny, not permanent, just data they can use to improve. They don't dwell on what went wrong, obsess over mistakes, or waste energy wishing things were different. They take ownership, analyze what happened, and move on. This is the key to winning. If you want to separate yourself, you must stop living in the past. You must stop allowing old failures to control your future and stop letting yesterday's mistakes dictate today's actions. Because every day is a new opportunity. Every moment is a chance to start over. Every second is an invitation to become someone new. Champions understand this, and because they do, they evolve faster than everyone else. They don't hold on to things that no longer serve them, cling to old identities, or waste time justifying their past. They let go, release what's holding them back, detach from stories that keep them small. Because of this, they create a future entirely in their control. This is what separates champions from everyone else. Most people are anchored to their past, trapped in old patterns, controlled by old emotions, stuck in cycles of fear and doubt. But champions break that cycle. They refuse to be defined by anything other than their actions today. They don't care about where they started or what went wrong before. They care about what they're building right now. This is why champions take ownership of everything. They don't blame circumstances, people, or make excuses. They take full responsibility for their life, and because they do, they have full control over where they're going. Most people avoid responsibility because it's easier to blame, point fingers, and make excuses. But champions know that ownership is power. When you own everything, you control everything, and when you control everything, you create your own achievement. So the question is, are you in control, or are you still letting your past define you? Are you still holding on to things that keep you stuck, still allowing old failures to control your future? Because if you are, you'll struggle. Keep repeating the same patterns and keep wondering why things never change. But if you commit to ownership, breaking free from the past, and taking charge of your life, your entire future will shift. Your results will change, your mentality will become unshakable, and achievement will become inevitable. Champions don't waste time waiting for the right moment. They don't sit around hoping things will get easier or spend their lives wishing for the perfect opportunity. They create their own moments and make things happen. They don't wait, they move, and because they move, they create achievement where most people struggle. Most people are passive. They wait, hope, and dream, but they don't take action. They spend their time analyzing, debating, hesitating. They wait for motivation, inspiration, or life to give them a sign. Because they're always waiting, they stay stuck, watching life pass them by while sitting on the sidelines. They wonder why nothing changes or why they never break through, but the truth is they're waiting for something that will never come. Champions don't wait. They understand that action creates momentum and that progress comes from doing, not thinking. They don't sit around analyzing things forever. They make a decision and move. They don't wait for the perfect plan or until they feel ready. They don't waste time hoping things will be different. They take control, create their own opportunities, and because of this, they succeed faster than everyone else. This is the key to winning. If you want to separate yourself, you must stop waiting, hesitating, and analyzing things to death. You must stop expecting life to hand you achievement because it never will. Achievement is not given, it is taken, and the only way to take it is to move forward with power. Champions move regardless of circumstances. They don't let fear stop them, uncertainty hold them back, or wait for things to be perfect. They take action anyway. Because they take action, they build momentum, and because they build momentum, they create results. Most people never build momentum because they never take action. They wait until they feel 100% sure or until everything is aligned. But that's a trap because nothing is ever 100% sure and nothing is ever perfectly aligned. Life is always uncertain, and the only way to win is to move anyway. Champions understand that hesitation is the enemy. Every time you hesitate, you give fear more power, weaken your momentum, and train yourself to stay stuck. Champions don't hesitate, question themselves, or waste time debating with their mind. They've removed hesitation from the equation. They act with certainty, move with power, and don't wait for life to tell them what to do. They decide and execute, and that's what separates them. Most people live in hesitation. They wake up and start debating with themselves. Should I do this? Should I do that? Is this the right move? What if I fail? That internal debate keeps them stuck. That hesitation kills their momentum. That fear destroys their confidence. But champions have trained themselves to eliminate hesitation. They've built the mental discipline to act without waiting and develop the ability to move forward regardless of how they feel. This is why champions are always in control. It's not because they never feel fear. It's because they've conditioned themselves to act anyway. It's not because they never doubt themselves. It's because they've trained themselves to push through doubt. It's not because things always go their way. It's because they've developed the mental toughness to create their own way. They don't wait, hesitate, or waste time. They move forward with power. So the question is, are you moving or are you still waiting? Are you still hesitating, still trapped in fear? Because if you are, you'll struggle, stay stuck, keep watching life pass you by, and keep wondering why things never change. But if you commit to action, moving forward without hesitation and taking control, your entire future will shift. Your results will change, your mentality will become unbreakable, and achievement will become inevitable. Champions don't let fear control them. They feel fear, but don't let it stop them. They understand that fear is a natural part of growth, and know that every time they push through fear, they get stronger. Every time they take action in spite of fear, they build confidence. Fear is not something to avoid, it's something to move through. Because champions have trained themselves to do this, they separate themselves from everyone else. Most people let fear dictate their life. They're afraid of failure, so they don't try. They're afraid of rejection, so they don't put themselves out there. They're afraid of the unknown, so they stay stuck in the familiar, even if the familiar isn't working. They allow fear to control their decisions, dictate their actions, and keep them small. But champions do the opposite. They feel fear and act anyway. They understand that fear is just a signal that they're about to grow. This is the difference. Champions don't eliminate fear, they embrace it. They know that if they're feeling fear, it means they're doing something important, stepping outside their comfort zone and evolving. Most people avoid fear and run away from it, letting it stop them. But champions chase fear and seek out things that scare them, because they know that on the other side of fear is growth, confidence, and achievement. This is why champions are always pushing their limits. They don't wait for life to be easy, complain about how hard things are, or wish for a life without obstacles. They understand that every challenge is an opportunity, every difficulty is a lesson, and every moment of discomfort is a chance to get stronger. Most people avoid discomfort and hard things, staying within their safe zone. Because of this, they never grow, expand, or reach their potential. Champions do hard things. They train themselves to embrace discomfort, push themselves to do things that scare them, and take on challenges that force them to grow. Because they do this consistently, they become unstoppable. They develop a level of confidence that most people will never have, build a mentality so strong that nothing can shake it, and create a level of achievement that most people will never reach because they're willing to do what others are not. This is where most people go wrong. They think achievement is about talent, luck, or having the right background, opportunities, and advantages. But that's not true. Achievement is about who is willing to feel fear and act anyway, who is willing to embrace discomfort and keep moving, and who is strong enough to push forward when everyone else is stopping. So the question is, are you embracing fear, or are you still letting it control you? Are you still avoiding things that scare you, still running away from discomfort? Because if you are, you'll struggle, stay stuck, and keep wondering why things never change. But if you commit to pushing through fear, doing hard things, and training yourself to move forward no matter what, your entire future will shift. your results will change, your mentality will become unbreakable, and achievement will become inevitable. Champions don't seek approval. They don't live their life trying to please everyone or waste energy worrying about what people think. They don't let someone else's opinion dictate their path. They've made a decision. They will win regardless of what anyone else says, and that decision is what separates them from everyone else. Most people are trapped by the need for approval. They live for validation and seek approval in everything they do. They want people to agree with them, want to be liked, and want to fit in. Because of this, they compromise, dilute their true self, take paths not meant for them, and follow expectations instead of their own vision. In the end, they wonder why they feel unfulfilled, stuck, and like something is missing. Champions don't care about approval. They don't need validation or waste energy trying to convince people of their worth. They know their value, trust their vision, and believe in themselves regardless of what anyone else thinks. Because they do, they move with power, make decisions with certainty, take actions that most people would never take, and walk their own path without hesitation. That's why they win. This is the key to separating yourself. If you want to win, you must stop seeking approval, living for someone else's validation, and worrying about what people think. Because the truth is, most people are too busy worrying about their own lives to focus on yours. Most people are not judging you as much as you think or paying as much attention to you as you believe. And even if they are, who cares? Their opinion doesn't pay your bills, their approval doesn't build your future, and their validation doesn't create achievement. You do. Champions understand this. They know that in order to win, they must be willing to stand alone, be misunderstood, and pursue their vision even if no one else believes in it. Because true achievement is built in silence, true greatness is achieved when you stop caring about outside noise, and true power comes from moving forward without needing anyone's permission. This is where most people fail. They hesitate, second-guess themselves, and stop pursuing their goals because someone told them it was unrealistic. They stop taking action because someone disagreed with their plan. They let external opinions dictate their internal drive, and because of that, they stay stuck and never break through and never reach their full potential. Champions don't make this mistake. They've trained themselves to push through external resistance. They don't let opinions stop them, criticism derail them, or fear of judgment hold them back. They've made a decision. They will win regardless of what anyone else thinks, and because they've made that decision, they move forward with power. So the question is, are you moving forward, or are you still waiting for approval? Are you still seeking validation? Still letting other people's opinions control you? Because if you are, you will struggle, stay stuck, and keep wondering why things never change. But if you commit to breaking free, pursuing your vision without hesitation, and winning regardless of what anyone else thinks, your entire future will shift. Your results will change, your mentality will become unstoppable, and achievement will become inevitable. Champions don't let distractions control them. They don't allow minor things to steal their focus or get caught up in noise. They don't waste time on things that don't serve their mission. They understand that achievement requires laser-like focus and know that every distraction is a thief of time and energy. Because they guard their focus, they achieve results faster than everyone else. Most people are scattered. They're pulled in 100 different directions, jump from one thing to another, start projects and never finish, and chase every new idea but never follow through on anything meaningful. They let distractions steal their time, and because of that, they never make real progress. They wonder why they feel busy but never productive, why they feel like they're working hard but not getting anywhere. It's because they're scattered, distracted, and losing time without even realizing it. Champions don't operate this way. They've trained themselves to focus on what matters and know that not everything deserves their attention. They understand that every time they say yes to something, they're saying no to something else. Because they value their time, they're ruthless with distractions. They don't get caught up in things that don't serve their mission, waste energy on things that don't move them forward, or protect their focus like it's the most valuable asset in the world, because it is. If you want to separate yourself, you must do the same. You must stop letting distractions control you. Stop chasing things that don't matter and stop allowing minor things to steal your attention. Because every time you get distracted, you lose momentum. Every time you shift your focus, you weaken your progress. Every time you allow minor things to take over, you train yourself to stay stuck. Champions understand that achievement is about depth, not breadth. It's about going deep into a few things that matter, not spreading yourself thin on 100 things that don't. It's about mastering a few key areas, not being average at everything. It's about intense focus, not scattered effort. Most people never win because they never go deep. They're always skimming the surface, jumping from one thing to another, always distracted. Because of that, they never build real momentum. Champions don't make this mistake. They pick their battles wisely, choose what matters, focus on a few key areas, and go all in. They don't get caught up in things that don't serve their mission, waste time on distractions, or fail to protect their focus and guard their time. Because they do, they create results that most people will never achieve. So the question is, are you focused or are you still distracted? Are you still letting minor things steal your attention, still spreading yourself thin? Because if you are, you will struggle, stay stuck, and keep wondering why things never change. But if you commit to focus, going deep instead of wide, and protecting your time, your entire future will shift. Your results will change, your mentality will become unstoppable, and achievement will become inevitable. Champions don't let setbacks define them. They don't look at failure as the end or see obstacles as permanent. They understand that every setback is just a setup for a comeback and know that failure is not something to avoid. It's something to learn from. Because they've trained themselves to see setbacks differently, they recover faster than everyone else. Most people fail once and give up. They experience one setback and let it destroy their confidence. They face one obstacle and decide that maybe they weren't meant to win. They allow failure to become their identity and let one bad experience dictate their future. They don't realize that every champion has failed more times than they can count. They don't understand that failure is a part of the process. It's not the opposite of achievement, it's a part of achievement. Champions don't think like that. They don't let failure stop them, dwell on what went wrong, or waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They analyze, learn, adjust, and then move forward. They've trained themselves to see every failure as feedback, every setback as a lesson, and every obstacle as an opportunity to grow. Because they see failure differently, they recover faster, adapt quicker, and keep moving when most people stop. This is the key to winning. If you want to separate yourself, you must stop letting failure control you, stop allowing setbacks to define you, and stop reacting to failure with self-doubt. Because failure is not the end, it's information, data, and feedback. If you learn to read it, you will become unstoppable. Champions understand that achievement is built on failure. Every time they fail, they get closer to winning. Every time they experience a setback, they learn something new. Every time things go wrong, they gain valuable insight. Most people avoid failure and run from it, fearing it. But champions chase it and embrace it because they know that the faster they fail, the faster they learn, and the faster they learn, the quicker they win. This is why champions take risks. They don't play it safe, avoid challenges, or stay in their comfort zone. Because they understand that growth only happens when you risk failure. They know that if you never fail, you never grow. If you never experience setbacks, you never build resilience. If you never push through difficulty, you never develop the mental toughness to win at the highest level. This is where most people go wrong. They avoid risk, play it safe, and stay small. They protect themselves from failure, but in doing so, they protect themselves from growth. They keep themselves locked in a cycle of mediocrity. They never push past their limits, break through, or become the person they were meant to be. Champions don't live that way. They take risks, embrace failure, and move forward even when things are uncertain. They train themselves to recover quickly, build resilience, and develop the mentality to keep going when things get hard. Because they do, they separate themselves from everyone else. So the question is, are you letting failure control you, or are you learning from it? Are you reacting to setbacks with self-doubt, or are you using them as fuel? Are you allowing obstacles to stop you, or are you pushing through them? Because if you are still letting failure define you, you will struggle, stay stuck, and keep wondering why things never change. But if you commit to resilience, learning from failure, and moving forward no matter what, your entire future will shift, your results will change, your mentality will become unstoppable, and achievement will become inevitable. Champions don't let their environment dictate their mentality. They don't let negativity, doubt, or fear from the outside world control them. They create their own mental state and train themselves to think powerfully regardless of what's happening around them. Because they do, they operate at a higher level than everyone else. Most people are influenced by their environment. They let external factors dictate their emotions, let other people's negativity affect their mentality, and let fear and doubt from the outside world control their actions. They don't realize that their environment is only powerful if they allow it to be. Champions understand this. They know that they can take control of their thoughts, choose how to respond, and that their mentality is more powerful than any external factor. This is why champions are always in control. It's not because they never feel doubt. It's because they've trained themselves to control their thoughts. It's not because they never feel fear. It's because they've conditioned themselves to think powerfully anyway. It's not because things always go their way. It's because they've developed the mental toughness to create their own reality regardless of external circumstances. This is where most people fail. They allow the world to dictate their thoughts, let fear control them, let doubt creep in, and let negativity from other people affect their drive. But champions don't make this mistake. They've trained themselves to protect their mind and don't allow outside influences to control them. They decide how to think, what to focus on, and to operate from a place of power. This is the key to winning. If you want to separate yourself, you must take control of your mind. You must stop letting external factors dictate your emotions, stop allowing negativity to control your thoughts, and stop reacting to the world, start creating your own reality. Because your mentality is your most powerful weapon, and if you don't control it, it will control you. Champions understand that thoughts create reality. If you think like a champion, you will act like a champion. If you train yourself to focus on power, you will create powerful results. If you condition yourself to think positively, you will attract positive outcomes. Most people never win because they never take control of their thoughts. They let their mind run wild, let negativity take over, and let fear dictate their actions. But champions do the opposite. They train their mind to think powerfully, condition themselves to focus on solutions instead of problems, and build a mentality so strong that nothing can shake it. This is why champions protect their environment. They don't expose themselves to negativity, surround themselves with people who drain their energy, or put themselves in situations that weaken their mentality. They are ruthless about what they allow into their life, because they understand that their mind is their most valuable asset, and if they don't protect it, they will lose. So the question is, are you in control of your mind, or are you still letting the world dictate your thoughts? Are you still allowing negativity to affect you, still letting fear control you? Because if you are, you will struggle, stay stuck, and keep wondering why things never change. But if you commit to mental mastery, training your mind, and protecting your focus, your entire future will shift. Your results will change, your mentality will become unstoppable, and achievement will become inevitable. Champions don't wait for motivation. They don't rely on inspiration or waste energy hoping to feel ready. They take action regardless of how they feel and have trained themselves to move even when they don't want to. They've built the mental discipline to act with power no matter what, and because they have, they create achievement where most people struggle. Most people wait. They wait for motivation, inspiration, and until they feel like doing something, because they're always waiting, they stay stuck, never build momentum, never take action, and never create the results they want. They spend their life hoping to feel different, not realizing that action creates motivation, not the other way around.